Hello there, and welcome to Science for Sleep, a gentle journey through the quiet wonders of our planet and the endless ingenuity of life itself. Tonight, we'll drift through stories of survival and adaptation that reveal how life has not only managed to endure but to thrive in every corner of Earth, from the black depths of the oceans to the frozen silence of the poles, from microscopic worlds to ancient forests that have outlived civilizations. Life surrounds us in forms so diverse they seem almost magical, glowing softly in the ocean's twilight, clinging to sun-baked rocks in deserts, or floating unseen in the air we breathe. Some species have existed virtually unchanged for hundreds of millions of years, while others have evolved strategies so unusual that they defy belief. Each of them is a miracle, a thread in the grand tapestry that connects every living thing, a quiet reminder that the story of life is as much about persistence as it is about wonder. And as you listen, you need do nothing more than relax, breathe slowly, and allow your thoughts to soften as we explore how deeply and beautifully life is woven into the fabric of Earth. The story of life's beginnings might not have been written in sunlight, as early poets once imagined, but in darkness, deep beneath the waves, where hydrothermal vents gush scalding water rich in minerals from Earth's interior. These vents, rising like black chimneys from the seafloor, create environments so extreme they seem alien. Yet, within their mineral walls, chemistry gave rise to something extraordinary. The minerals acted as catalysts, forming tiny pockets where molecules could gather and react, eventually building the complex compounds that became the foundation of life itself. In these hidden crucibles, protected from ultraviolet radiation and meteor bombardment, fragile beginnings took hold. Even today, entire ecosystems thrive there, drawing energy not from sunlight but from the chemical reactions of the Earth's molten heart. It is humbling to imagine that all the beauty and diversity of life, forests, whales, and humans, may have begun in such a place of darkness and heat, in the silent pressure of the deep sea. Life, once it began, learned resilience in remarkable ways. Some creatures can survive being frozen solid, as though defying death itself. The wood frog of North America is one such marvel. When winter descends, it allows its body to freeze almost completely. Its heart stops, its blood crystallizes, and yet, when spring returns, the frog thaws, breathes, and hops away as if nothing happened. Glucose and other natural antifreezes protect its cells from bursting during the freeze, preserving the delicate structures of life through months of icy stillness. Insects and tiny invertebrates have their own frozen miracles, some enduring conditions colder than any human could withstand. These feats remind us that life is not fragile but ingenious, capable of pausing time itself. The script of survival that Earth has written includes not only the will to live but the power to wait patiently through even the harshest seasons. But not all life depends on the warmth of the sun. In the lightless abysses of the ocean, and in deep caves where no ray of sunlight has ever shone, entire ecosystems exist independent of the familiar dance of photosynthesis. Around hydrothermal vents, blind crabs, giant tube worms, and pale, ghostly fish thrive, their world illuminated only by the dim glow of volcanic heat. Here, bacteria use chemosynthesis, harnessing energy from hydrogen sulfide and other chemicals pouring from the vents to create food, forming the base of a food web that defies the sun. Similarly, deep in Earth's caves, creatures that have never known daylight have evolved without eyes, relying instead on touch, smell, or vibration to navigate their eternal night. Such worlds remind us that life does not demand light, only opportunity, chemistry, and time. Drifting higher into the sunlit seas, we encounter creatures so ancient and ethereal they seem timeless: jellyfish. They have pulsed through the oceans for more than 500 million years. Older than trees, older than dinosaurs, older even than most mountains. Composed mostly of water, with no heart, brain, or bones, jellyfish have perfected a design so efficient it has scarcely changed since life first took to the sea. Their gentle pulses propel them through currents, their translucent bells glowing softly in the dark, a living memory of ancient oceans. Sometimes they gather in blooms so vast they can be seen from space, silent testaments to endurance. Watching them drift is like looking into deep time itself, a rhythm that has persisted across epochs, through mass extinctions, and into the modern world, serene and while jellyfish drift above, in the unseen depths below, microbes perform miracles that seem more alchemy than biology. These lithotrophs, organisms that eat rocks, draw their energy directly from the Earth's minerals. They feed on iron, sulfur, even uranium, stripping electrons from stone and using that chemistry to sustain themselves. Deep beneath the crust, in darkness and isolation, entire microbial communities survive in this way, perhaps resembling the earliest life on our planet, or the kind that might one day be found on distant worlds. Over billions of years, these microbes have subtly reshaped the planet's chemistry, helping to form soil, cycle nutrients, and influence the evolution of life itself. They remind us that even the most lifeless-seeming stone may harbor a pulse of unseen vitality. From microbes to megaflora, life has also mastered the art of time. The oldest known living organisms on Earth are not animals or even single trees, but vast, interconnected colonies. In the cold waters of the Arctic, meadows of seagrass have thrived for more than 10,000 years, quietly spreading through clonal reproduction. On land, enormous aspen groves such as the Pando colony in Utah stretch for acres, all connected through a single root system. Though individual trunks live and die, the organism as a whole has persisted for millennia, weathering ice ages and droughts, quietly renewing itself. To stand among such beings is to feel time differently, not as fleeting moments, but as an ocean of endurance. Their lives remind us that continuity, not constancy, is the secret to longevity. Life survives not by resisting change but by flowing with it, generation after generation, branch after branch. Even more astonishing are the trees that can clone themselves, spreading through time as well as space. When a branch touches soil, it can take root and rise again, becoming a new trunk genetically identical to the first. Through this simple act, species like willow and poplar form entire forests that are, in truth, one single organism. Pando, the trembling giant of Utah, may be tens of thousands of years old, a living entity made up of 40,000 stems, each sharing the same ancient soul. Unlike animals, trees can be both mortal and immortal, their bodies aging and falling even as their essence renews itself endlessly. This is the forest's quiet defiance of time, to die and yet not die, to persist through endless renewal, teaching us that immortality need not be stillness. It can be motion, rhythm, and rebirth. But perhaps the grandest living thing of all lies hidden beneath our feet. In Oregon's Blue Mountains, beneath layers of soil and pine needles, spreads one of the largest organisms on Earth, a fungus known as Armillaria ostoi. On the surface, it appears as scattered mushrooms, delicate and temporary. Yet below the ground, its mycelium, a vast, lace-like network of threads, stretches across nearly 10 square kilometers. It is ancient, thousands of years old, and weighs hundreds of tons. Through this web, it exchanges nutrients, recycles matter, and communicates with trees in subtle ways scientists are only beginning to understand. Though it grows unseen, it connects an entire forest into one living system, proving that life's greatest achievements are often invisible. When we look at these wonders, from the microbes that eat stone to the jellyfish that outlived dinosaurs, from frogs that freeze to forests that never die, a pattern begins to emerge. Life, in all its forms, is not defined by comfort or convenience but by creativity and persistence. It finds ways to transform darkness into energy, death into renewal, stillness into growth. Every creature, every cell, every leaf is part of a single, unbroken experiment, the great experiment of survival. And when we look closely, we find ourselves within it, breathing the same air, sharing the same molecules, inheriting the same stardust. As you rest now, imagine the deep sea vents glowing softly in the dark, the forests whispering in the wind, and the vast networks beneath the soil quietly pulsing with life. Feel your breath join the rhythm of the planet, steady, calm, ancient. You are part of this world's story, as old as the oceans and as new as dawn. Each heartbeat, each breath, is the continuation of a miracle that began billions of years ago in the dark, warm cradle of the earth. Let that thought carry you gently into rest, as the song of life hums softly all around, patient, eternal, and endlessly beautiful. Beneath the quiet canopy of Oregon's Blue Mountains lies one of the largest and most extraordinary living things on Earth, a colossal underground fungus called Armillaria ostoi. To the casual hiker, the forest above might seem like an ordinary woodland of trees and mushrooms, but beneath each step stretches an immense living web. The tree roots intertwine with the fungus's endless threads, called mycelium, which creep invisibly through the soil, slowly digesting wood, recycling fallen logs, and renewing the forest from within. When you walk there, you are not wandering among countless individuals, but rather upon the living skin of one vast organism, a hidden giant that silently rules its subterranean domain. It is both eerie and awe-inspiring to realize that what looks like a forest of many is, in truth, one great being, a single life form that spans nearly 10 square kilometers. It reminds us that the earth is full of secret giants, creatures that stretch far beyond what our eyes can see, shaping the world in silence. Yet even within our own bodies, similar mysteries unfold, for each of us is an ecosystem rather than an individual. There are more microbes in the human body than there are human cells. For every cell that carries your DNA, there may be as many, if not more, tiny companions, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea, living on your skin, in your mouth, throughout your gut, and deep within your tissues. Collectively, these organisms form what scientists call the microbiome, an invisible world that hums constantly within us, influencing everything from digestion to immunity, from the chemicals that affect our moods to the energy that fuels our every breath. Many of these microorganisms are not enemies but partners, essential allies that keep our systems balanced. Without them, we could not live. Some simply coexist quietly, neither helping nor harming, drifting through our inner landscapes like passive citizens of an immense city. Together, they form a living network, billions of microscopic entities that adapt with our diets, respond to our emotions, and evolve with our environments. To realize that more of you is microbial than human is to understand that life is never solitary, not even within your own skin. You are a community, a living collaboration of countless lives moving in harmony within a single body. And beyond the boundaries of our bodies, the same resilience that defines all life manifests in forms so small and yet so astonishingly durable that they challenge everything we know about survival. Tardigrades, affectionately known as water bears, are perhaps the greatest proof that life's tenacity knows no limits. These microscopic creatures, less than a millimeter long, look like tiny, wrinkled pillows with 8 stubby legs and a curious little snout. Despite their soft and unassuming appearance, they are among the toughest beings ever discovered. When the world around them becomes unlivable, when water dries up, temperatures plunge below freezing or rise above boiling, when radiation surges, or even when they are launched into the vacuum of space, tardigrades perform a remarkable trick. They curl into a tiny, dry husk, entering a suspended state called cryptobiosis. In this form, they can survive without food, water, or air for years, waiting patiently for conditions to improve. Scientists have frozen them, boiled them, blasted them with radiation, and even exposed them to the deadly emptiness of outer space, yet many survived. Add a few drops of water, and these tiny creatures reawaken, returning to life as if nothing had happened. Their resilience comes from special proteins and sugars that shield their cells, stabilizing their DNA and protecting their membranes from damage. In them, we see life's ultimate flexibility, a readiness to endure, adapt, and persist. And if such creatures can exist here on Earth, perhaps somewhere in the icy shadows of Mars or beneath the oceans of distant moons, something equally hardy may also stir in hidden stillness. The adaptability of life doesn't stop at endurance. It often reshapes the very definitions we hold of it. Beneath the waves, where color and current define a shifting world, even gender itself is fluid. Some fish have evolved the power to change sex as their lives unfold, ensuring their communities remain balanced and capable of reproducing. In the world of clownfish, for instance, social order depends on size and hierarchy. The largest and most dominant member of the group becomes female, while all others remain male. If that female dies, the next largest male undergoes a transformation, reshaping its body and hormones to take her place. In wrasses and groupers, similar transitions occur, with individuals switching from male to female or vice versa depending on environmental cues and the needs of the population. These transformations are not simple shifts, they involve deep, internal changes as reproductive organs reorganize, hormones recalibrate, and behavior itself adapts. It is a living reminder that the categories we often see as unchangeable are, in truth, fluid when it comes to survival. In the ocean, identity is not fixed but flexible, and life thrives because it can rewrite its own rules. Among the many marvels of regeneration in nature, few are as magical as the axolotl, a salamander so unique it seems borrowed from a dream. With feathery external gills that flutter like coral and a perpetual, almost smiling face, the axolotl carries an eternal youth. Unlike most amphibians, it never truly grows up. It keeps its aquatic form throughout life, breathing underwater even as it matures. But its most astonishing ability lies in regeneration. Where humans heal with scars, axolotls regrow what's lost. Sever a limb, and it will grow back. Damage its heart, spinal cord, or even parts of its brain, and the tissues will rebuild with breathtaking accuracy. When injured, its cells revert to a flexible, stem cell-like state, erasing their identity, and then reforming exactly what is needed. For the axolotl, regeneration is not an extraordinary event, it's an everyday reality. Scientists study these creatures intensely, hoping to one day understand and perhaps harness the same powers for human healing. Imagine regrowing a lost limb, or repairing a damaged organ with ease. The axolotl already does so effortlessly. In its quiet lakes of Mexico, this smiling little being continues its cycle of renewal, an eternal symbol of life's ability to begin again. In the frozen silence of winter, another group of remarkable survivors waits beneath the ice, frogs that can hold their breath for months. Certain species, such as the marsh frog, bury themselves deep in mud or leaves as the world above turns cold and still. Their metabolism slows to nearly nothing. They stop breathing entirely, drawing the little oxygen they need directly through their skin. Some reduce their bodily processes so completely that they hover on the brink of death, surviving almost without oxygen until spring returns. When warmth finally seeps back into the earth, these frogs awaken, croaking once again as if they had merely been asleep. Their endurance is not born from strength but patience, a stillness that allows them to outlast the season of hardship. They remind us that survival often requires not motion or aggression, but quiet waiting, trust in time, and the knowledge that every winter eventually ends. Far from these quiet ponds, in the warmer currents of tropical seas, an entirely different kind of marvel snaps its claw with explosive power. The pistol shrimp, no longer than a few centimeters, carries within its tiny body a weapon capable of producing forces rivaling the sun. When it snaps its specialized claws shut, it shoots a jet of water at incredible speed, creating a bubble so fast that its collapse generates a shockwave strong enough to stun prey. In that split second, the collapsing bubble releases a flash of light and temperatures that exceed those on the surface of the sun. The sound of countless pistol shrimp snapping together echoes underwater like a crackling fire, filling the ocean with the rhythm of their hunts. From something so small, such cosmic power seems impossible, and yet it is real. Nature hides its fiercest energies in the tiniest forms, a reminder that size and strength do not always go hand in hand. Within each small being lies a force of creation and destruction, balanced in perfect harmony. As incredible as the pistol shrimp's weaponry may be, other animals possess gifts even more subtle and mysterious. Take the birds that cross continents guided not by landmarks or stars alone, but by Earth's invisible magnetic field. Species like pigeons, Arctic terns, and warblers can sense the planet's magnetism through a faculty known as magnetoception. Tiny magnetic particles in their tissues or specialized proteins in their eyes allow them to perceive the world through an unseen map. Some scientists believe these birds may actually see magnetic lines as faint visual patterns overlaying the landscape, guiding them instinctively across oceans and deserts, through storms and skies. A bird migrating across the globe may never have seen its destination, yet it will arrive with unerring accuracy, guided by a sense that humans can scarcely imagine. To them, the magnetic field is a quiet compass stitched into their very being, whispering directions in the wind. Watching their great migrations is like glimpsing the pulse of the earth itself, a soft, magnetic rhythm connecting every living thing to the planet's core. And then there are the monarch butterflies, whose migrations stretch across generations, threading continents together through sheer instinct. Each autumn, millions of these delicate travelers rise from meadows and fields in North America, their paper-thin orange and black wings carrying them thousands of kilometers south to the mountain forests of central Mexico. No single butterfly makes the round trip. Along the way, new generations are born, each picking up where their ancestors left off, continuing a journey they have never seen but somehow remember. By the time spring returns and they flutter north again, they are the great-grandchildren of those who first set out. And yet, guided by cues still not fully understood, perhaps sunlight, temperature, or magnetic fields, they find their way to the very same groves of fir and pine where their ancestors once rested. There, millions gather on the trunks and branches until the trees themselves seem made of living wings, quivering softly in the cool mountain air. To stand beneath that gentle storm of color is to witness something close to sacred, a living poem written in migration and memory. From the invisible microbes in our bodies to the mighty fungal networks beneath forests, from the immortal clones of ancient trees to the eternal drift of jellyfish and the cosmic toughness of tardigrades, life reveals itself as a tapestry of resilience, creativity, and connection. Everywhere we look, existence stretches and bends but rarely breaks. The patterns repeat: cooperation, transformation, endurance, renewal. The smallest creatures mirror the largest. The oldest beings teach the newest how to survive. We are all threads in the same endless fabric, woven together by time, chance, and the gentle persistence of life itself. And as you breathe quietly now, listening to these stories of wonder, you might feel that same connection deep within. A reminder that the pulse that drives the shrimp's claw, the frog's frozen stillness, the butterfly's flight, and the axolotl's healing also beats softly in you. Life's brilliance does not always roar. Often, it whispers. It hums in the spaces between heartbeats and ripples in the silence of the night, a steady rhythm as ancient as the earth and as enduring as the stars above. Octopuses have 3 hearts and blue blood, and that is only the beginning of what makes them among the most extraordinary beings on Earth. Unlike humans, whose single heart tirelessly pumps iron-based red blood through our veins, the octopus relies on a trio of hearts that keep its alien body alive in the ocean's cold depths. 2 of these hearts work exclusively to push blood through the gills, where oxygen is absorbed, while the 3rd heart drives that oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. Their blood itself is copper-based, using a molecule called hemocyanin instead of hemoglobin, and this chemical difference gives it a pale, icy blue hue. This adaptation is not just beautiful, it is functional, helping octopuses survive in cold, oxygen-poor waters where most creatures would struggle to breathe. But the strangeness of the octopus extends far beyond its anatomy. It is a creature of fluid intelligence, able to reshape its body to fit through holes no larger than its eye, its boneless form flowing like liquid thought through coral crevices. Its skin, alive with chromatophores, specialized pigment cells, can shift color and texture in a blink, transforming a soft, rippling body into a mimic of rock, coral, or sand. Within a heartbeat, the octopus can vanish into its environment or burst into mesmerizing displays of pattern and hue. Scientists have long marveled at this biological wizardry, yet what astonishes them even more is the mind behind it. Octopuses have demonstrated the ability to open jars, solve mazes, and even remember solutions to puzzles for future use. They can distinguish between individual humans, unscrew lids, and escape from sealed tanks with unnerving cleverness. In captivity, some have been known to squirt water at specific people or rearrange their surroundings seemingly out of curiosity or playfulness. Each arm of an octopus is lined with hundreds of suckers, each capable of independent movement, and even possessing a degree of its own intelligence. A significant portion of an octopus's neurons reside not in its central brain, but in its limbs, meaning its arms can taste, touch, and decide how to move without direct command. To encounter an octopus is to meet an alien form of intelligence, one that evolved along a completely separate evolutionary path from our own. It reminds us that life has no single blueprint for intelligence or awareness, that sentience itself may take many shapes, some soft, shifting, and blue-blooded beneath the waves. Crows, on the other hand, carry their mysteries above the ground and sky, cloaked in black feathers and sharp-eyed awareness. Among the most intelligent birds known, they possess memory, reasoning, and problem-solving abilities that rival those of some primates. One of their most extraordinary skills is the ability to recognize individual human faces, and not merely as fleeting impressions but as long-term memories that shape their behavior. In experiments, crows who were mistreated by researchers later scolded and mobbed those same people when they saw them again, years after the original encounter. Even more remarkably, they warned other crows about the dangerous humans, spreading the message through their social networks. This shows that crows not only remember but also communicate abstract information, a level of social intelligence once thought unique to humans and great apes. Their memory for kindness is just as keen as for cruelty. People who feed crows regularly often find small gifts left behind: shiny pebbles, pieces of colored glass, buttons, or scraps of metal. These offerings appear to be tokens of recognition, acts of crow generosity that blur the line between instinct and affection. Watching a crow tilt its head and study you, with that dark, glinting eye full of calculation, you might wonder who is really the observer and who is the observed. They use tools, bending twigs into hooks to extract insects from bark, and they can plan several steps ahead, waiting for the right moment to strike or solve a problem. In urban environments, they have learned to drop nuts onto roads and wait for cars to crack them open, then retrieve the food only when the traffic light turns red. Such ingenuity reveals not mere mimicry but reasoning, a kind of urban intelligence that thrives alongside human civilization. Together, the octopus and the crow represent two vastly different worlds, one of liquid shadows beneath the sea and one of air and sky, and yet both share something profoundly similar: a mind that can adapt, solve, remember, and even wonder. The octopus teaches us that intelligence can emerge from softness, from a nervous system that sprawls through flexible limbs instead of being contained within a rigid skull. The crow shows us that consciousness can thrive in feathers, in beaks that turn keys to understanding. Both species challenge our narrow definitions of thought. They reveal that awareness is not the exclusive domain of mammals, nor the product of our human architecture, but a living force that nature sculpts again and again in diverse and remarkable ways. If the octopus feels like a visitor from another planet, the crow feels like a shadow of ourselves, an ancient intelligence evolved in parallel, watching from the trees, learning our patterns, and perhaps understanding more than we know. In both creatures lies a story of survival through adaptation. The octopus survives through camouflage, evasion, and flexibility. The crow survives through cooperation, cunning, and communication. One dissolves into the seascape, invisible yet aware, while the other stands boldly against the sky, black as ink and brilliant as strategy itself. They represent two expressions of evolution's creativity, one born of solitude in the deep, the other of society in the open air. Both teach us humility, reminding us that the boundaries we draw between human and animal, intelligent and instinctive, are far thinner than we imagine. The octopus and the crow live in worlds of their own design, yet their stories intertwine in the greater web of life, showing that the universe never repeats itself, it invents endlessly, breathing thought into tentacles and feathers alike. When we gaze into the unblinking eye of an octopus or the calculating stare of a crow, we see reflections of life's infinite adaptability. Each in its own way embodies the idea that intelligence is not a single thread but a tapestry woven through all living things. Beneath the ocean's silence and above the forest's noise, these two beings remind us that the world is full of other minds, different, beautiful, and deeply alive. Beneath the shimmer of water, the rustle of leaves, and the hum of soil lies a world teeming with minds that feel, think, and connect in ways we are only beginning to grasp. Among these marvels, dolphins stand out as the poets of the sea, weaving songs of identity and companionship through currents that stretch across miles. In their fluid realm of waves and light, dolphins live in complex societies, full of play, affection, and deep cooperation. One of their most astonishing traits is their use of signature whistles, distinctive calls that function like names. Each dolphin calf develops its own unique whistle, a vocal fingerprint that remains with it for life. These names are not random sounds, they carry identity, recognition, and relationship. When a dolphin calls another's name, it is reaching across the water with intention and memory. Scientists have even recorded dolphins calling the names of missing companions, as if performing a roll call of the sea, yearning for reunion. Imagine a pod moving through the blue, their whistles echoing and intertwining, a living symphony of voices that bind the community together. Their intelligence is social, emotional, and self-aware, a reflection of minds that know not only others but themselves. Beneath the waves, where human eyes rarely see, they demonstrate empathy, grief, and joy, proving that the ocean holds civilizations of its own. On land, the giants of the savanna carry an intelligence just as profound. Elephants, with their vast forms and deep sensitivity, are attuned to the planet's most subtle rhythms. Their immense ears, thin as parchment yet strong as sails, catch vibrations of thunder hundreds of kilometers away, and their feet sense tremors in the earth long before storms arrive. Scientists believe elephants perceive infrasonic rumbles, sounds too low for human ears, allowing them to detect distant weather, migrating herds, and even earthquakes. This sensory awareness is more than survival, it is communion with the earth itself. Elephants move in family groups led by matriarchs whose memories span decades, recalling watering holes long vanished, migration routes across deserts, and the faces of other elephants met years before. They grieve for their dead, caressing bones and tusks in silence, returning to the remains of loved ones long after death. When the first drops of rain fall after months of drought, they trumpet with joy, a chorus that feels like the earth breathing again. To stand near an elephant is to sense a being whose wisdom flows not only from its size or strength but from its connection to the unseen forces that shape the land and sky. Far beneath the surface of the ocean, another form of intelligence hums through water: whales, the singers of the deep. Humpback whales produce haunting songs that stretch for hours, rolling and folding through miles of sea. Each song is a structured masterpiece, composed of repeating phrases and evolving melodies. What astonishes scientists most is that these songs change over time. Within months or years, whales across entire ocean basins alter their tunes, adding new verses, dropping others, and gradually transforming the music as though collaborating on a living symphony. It is as if they share not just sound but culture, evolving art collectively through generations. Sometimes, a brand new song will spread from one population to another, crossing vast distances until it becomes the dominant tune of an entire region. No one knows exactly why they do this, whether for mating, communication, or pure expression, but their songs remind us that art is not uniquely human. The ocean itself becomes an orchestra, resonating with intelligence expressed as rhythm, melody, and emotion. Listening to whale song is like eavesdropping on the memory of the planet, each note an echo of something ancient, beautiful, and beyond words. In the skies between sunset and darkness, bats rise into the air, navigators of the night armed with senses that stretch beyond human imagination. Using echolocation, they map their surroundings through sound, painting the world in echoes. Yet some bats possess another extraordinary ability: they can see polarized light. When the sun sinks below the horizon, invisible bands of polarized light appear across the sky, forming a secret compass that humans cannot see. Bats read these patterns effortlessly, orienting themselves for long migrations. For them, twilight is not fading light but a glowing web of invisible lines that point the way home. They combine this celestial map with sound, creating a multidimensional sense of direction that guides them through forests, across mountains, and over oceans. To them, the night sky is not empty but filled with information, proof that the world hides endless layers of meaning, waiting for the right kind of eyes, or ears, to perceive it. Deeper still, in the damp corners of forests and laboratories, slime molds creep, a form of life so strange it defies classification. Neither plant, nor animal, nor fungus, these organisms exist as giant single cells, sprawling and pulsing across surfaces in search of food. They have no brain, no neurons, no nervous system, and yet they solve problems. In experiments, scientists place slime molds in mazes with food at 2 exits. The molds extended filaments through the labyrinth, withdrawing from dead ends, reinforcing the shortest routes until they found the most efficient path. Without thought, they decided. They even seemed to anticipate recurring events, altering their behavior, as though remembering patterns of time. Their intelligence is decentralized, emerging not from a single point but from the collective coordination of countless parts. A reminder that thinking need not come from brains. Slime molds suggest that life itself is capable of computation, that awareness can arise from the simplest systems, if only we look closely enough. They teach a humbling truth: intelligence is not a structure, but a behavior, a function of being alive. Beneath our feet, another civilization thrives, one so ancient and complex it rivals our own in sophistication. Long before humans cultivated crops, ants were farming fungi underground. Leafcutter ants, tireless workers of the tropics, march in endless lines, carrying fragments of leaves back to their subterranean cities. But they do not eat these leaves. Instead, they chew them into pulp, creating a perfect substrate for growing a particular fungus that serves as their primary food. The ants and the fungus are bound in a symbiotic relationship millions of years old. The fungus cannot survive without the ants' care, and the ants cannot survive without the fungus. To protect their crops, the ants even harbor specialized bacteria on their bodies that produce antibiotics, keeping harmful molds away. What humanity achieved through agriculture only 10,000 years ago, ants mastered tens of millions of years earlier, cultivating, managing, and defending their food sources with astonishing precision. A single leafcutter colony can number in the millions, a living network of cooperation and coordination sprawling beneath the ground. Their tunnels and chambers stretch for meters, housing nurseries for larvae, vaults for queens, and vast fungal gardens glowing with pale life. Ant highways thread through soil like veins, ferrying green offerings to the fungal core. Pheromone trails act as invisible maps, directing workers through the darkness with flawless organization. When scientists model these ant cities, the structures bear uncanny resemblance to human metropolises, with divisions of labor, sanitation systems, waste chambers, and intricate logistics of food distribution. The queen, the heart of the colony, can live for 2 decades, laying millions of eggs while surrounded by an ever-changing army of workers that live and die for the good of the whole. The colony itself behaves like one vast organism, each ant a cell contributing to the life of a greater being. This vision of the hidden world beneath the soil humbles us. For all our intelligence, our cities are but echoes of theirs, carved in the same logic of cooperation, communication, and balance. Even among insects, architectural genius abounds. In the sun-scorched savannas of Africa and Australia, termite mounds rise like living cathedrals, soaring 6 meters into the air. Inside these earthen towers live millions of termites, farming fungi, raising their young, and maintaining a stable microclimate that defies the brutal heat of the day and the chill of the night. Without a single architect, they construct ventilation systems that regulate temperature and humidity with astonishing precision. Warm air rises through central chimneys, drawing in cool air through lower vents, a natural form of air conditioning perfected over millennia. Scientists studying termite mounds have even drawn inspiration for sustainable building designs, realizing that these tiny insects have long solved problems of climate control and efficiency that humans still struggle with. Within the mound, life flows in perfect order, workers tending larvae, soldiers guarding tunnels, and the royal pair hidden deep within the central chamber. The termite's world, though unseen, is a masterpiece of collective design, a reminder that intelligence can exist not in individuals, but in systems. From the oceans to the forests, from the soil to the sky, life demonstrates over and over that awareness takes many forms. Dolphins call to each other by name, elephants feel the voice of storms through their bones, whales compose symphonies that echo across generations, bats navigate by invisible light, slime molds solve mazes without thought, ants farm with ancient precision, and termites build cathedrals from earth and instinct. Each reveals a different face of intelligence, one that does not need words, tools, or technology to prove its worth. They show us that the universe is alive with connection, that minds bloom wherever life takes hold. In these beings we find not only wonder but reflection. For every dolphin's name, there is the memory of friendship. For every whale's song, the echo of shared history. For every ant colony, the pattern of unity. Nature whispers that intelligence is not ours alone, that consciousness is woven through every corner of creation. To understand this is to see the world anew, not as a hierarchy of species, but as a chorus of minds, each singing its own song in the grand symphony of life. The Greenland shark's silent centuries are only one thread in the vast, intertwined story of life's ingenuity beneath the waves and across the world. Consider the eels, long, silver ribbons of muscle and mystery, whose life journey defied human understanding for millennia. For centuries, philosophers, naturalists, and fishermen searched for eel eggs in rivers, lakes, and ponds but found none. Even Aristotle, whose observations shaped early biology, believed eels emerged spontaneously from mud. The truth lay far away, hidden deep in the Sargasso Sea, a region of the Atlantic Ocean swirling with seaweed and secrets. Here, in waters that shimmer with sunlight and salt, both European and American eels travel thousands of kilometers from their freshwater homes to spawn. After years spent in rivers and lakes, they transform for this journey, their bodies changing, their eyes enlarging to adapt to the ocean depths, and their stomachs dissolving since they will not eat again. They drift and swim through storm and current, guided by instincts we barely comprehend, to a place no human eye can easily follow. There, they breed once, lay their eggs, and die. Their larvae, transparent and leaf-like, float back toward the continents, carried by currents until they grow strong enough to swim upriver. Each generation repeats this epic odyssey, a cycle so ancient it links continents and centuries, connecting the world's waters through the beating pulse of migration. From these deep-sea wanderers to the creatures of the forests and skies, life's designs reveal a brilliance that humbles the human mind. Consider the axolotl, the eternal youth of the salamander world. Unlike most amphibians, which metamorphose from water-dwelling larvae into landwalkers, the axolotl remains forever young, gilled, aquatic, and playful, even as an adult. It possesses the astonishing ability to regenerate entire limbs, parts of its heart, spine, and even sections of its brain. Scientists have studied this creature for decades, seeking to understand the biological secrets that allow such renewal. In its gentle smile and feathery gills lies a living blueprint for healing and resilience, reminding us that nature's miracles often come in quiet, unassuming forms. Similarly, the immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii, has rewritten the rules of aging itself. When threatened by starvation or injury, it performs a biological magic trick, reverting its adult cells back to a youthful polyp stage, starting life anew. This process, known as transdifferentiation, allows it to potentially escape death indefinitely, cycling between youth and maturity in an endless loop. It is a creature that defies the arrow of time, a tiny spark in the vast ocean that whispers that immortality, however fragile, might not belong only to myth. Across the savannas, deserts, and rainforests, other creatures express intelligence, cooperation, and adaptation in ways that rival, and sometimes surpass, human invention. The meerkats of the Kalahari, for instance, live in tightly knit societies where individuals take turns standing guard while others forage. With each chirp or bark, they send coded messages, one for aerial predators, another for snakes, a third for safe passage. They even teach their young how to handle dangerous prey, such as scorpions, by gradually exposing them to less deadly versions before the real thing. Their social structure, built on trust and communication, demonstrates that complex learning and culture are not uniquely human achievements but are woven into the animal kingdom's very fabric. In the dense jungles of Central and South America, the poison dart frogs display another wonder of adaptation and cooperation. These tiny, jewel-toned amphibians, some no larger than a fingernail, carry potent toxins in their skin, chemical defenses derived from their diet of ants and mites. Yet beyond their brilliance and danger lies tenderness. Certain species of dart frogs are devoted parents, with fathers guarding eggs and mothers carrying tadpoles on their backs to pools of water hidden in bromeliad leaves. There, they feed their young with unfertilized eggs, an act of sacrifice and care that feels achingly familiar to our own parental instincts. High above the earth, the albatross, a bird of the open ocean, spends years in flight, gliding on wings that can span over 3 meters. They sleep while soaring, their bodies locked into effortless motion by air currents that circle the planet. When two albatrosses bond, they perform intricate dances, bowing and clicking beaks, a ritual that can last hours. Once paired, they remain loyal for life, reuniting each breeding season across thousands of kilometers of ocean. In their devotion, one sees both love and precision, a biological poetry written on the wind. Deep underground, the naked mole rat challenges yet another rule of biology. These small, wrinkled rodents live in dark tunnels beneath East African soils, where they form colonies ruled by a single queen, much like bees or ants. They are immune to cancer, resistant to pain, and can survive with almost no oxygen for minutes that would kill most mammals. Their social structure is one of unity, each individual performing a role: workers, soldiers, nurses, all serving the collective. It is as though evolution decided to experiment with mammalian eusociality and succeeded. Above the Arctic tundra, caribou follow invisible maps across frozen landscapes. They can sense shifts in Earth's magnetic field, guiding them across thousands of kilometers toward food and calving grounds. In tropical rainforests, parrots crack nuts with precision tools made of their own beaks, mimicking sounds, words, and laughter they hear from humans, a reminder that intelligence often speaks in languages beyond words. And what of the coral reefs? Living cities built by countless tiny polyps over centuries. Each coral colony is a collaboration between animal and algae, each dependent on the other. Together, they form ecosystems so vibrant and complex that they rival tropical rainforests in biodiversity. Yet, they are fragile, vulnerable to the rising heat of our changing planet. Within their fluorescent glow lies both the beauty and the fragility of life's interconnected web. On land, the mimic octopus mirrors this artistry of deception. Found in the Indo-Pacific, it can impersonate 15 different species: lionfish, flatfish, sea snakes, simply by altering its posture, color, and behavior. This is not random mimicry but strategic intelligence, a calculated act of survival. To see it glide across the sand, arms outstretched to resemble a venomous predator, is to witness an artist at work, one whose canvas is its own body. In forests where light filters like green rain, plants themselves demonstrate awareness. The Venus flytrap, for example, counts. When an insect brushes its sensitive hairs once, it waits. Twice within 20 seconds, the trap snaps shut. This counting behavior ensures efficiency, preventing wasted energy on false alarms like falling leaves or raindrops. The Mimosa pudica, or touch me not, folds its leaves instantly at contact, a living reflex that blends sensitivity and self-defense. Even trees, as research reveals, communicate underground through fungal networks, sharing nutrients, warning of pests, and nurturing their young. The so-called Wood Wide Web shows that the intelligence of nature extends far beyond neurons. It exists in connection, in cooperation, in shared survival. If one travels far enough into the frozen poles, one might encounter the emperor penguin, a model of endurance and devotion. During the brutal Antarctic winter, males huddle together for months without food, balancing their eggs atop their feet, protecting them from temperatures that plunge below -60 degrees Celsius. When the eggs finally hatch, the fathers have lost half their body weight, yet they sing to their chicks before handing them to their returning mates. Every life in that frozen expanse is a song of sacrifice, a dance of persistence against the wind. And in the skies, migrations paint invisible lines across the globe. Monarch butterflies, weighing less than a paperclip, travel thousands of kilometers from North America to the forests of Mexico, guided by the position of the sun and a magnetic sense embedded in their wings. No single butterfly completes the round trip. It takes multiple generations, each carrying the inherited memory of a path they've never flown. This relay of instinct and endurance stands as one of evolution's most poetic achievements. The more we look, the more life reveals itself not as a hierarchy of intelligence but as a symphony of strategies, each species playing its part. Some, like the Greenland shark, slow time itself. Others, like the fireflies, paint the night in rhythm and light. Some build cities underground or coral fortresses in the sea. Others migrate across continents guided by starlight or magnetic whispers. Together, they tell one truth: life is boundless creativity, written in forms both alien and familiar. To study these wonders is to confront humility. Humanity, for all its knowledge and invention, is but one participant in an ancient experiment, the experiment of life itself. from the smallest slime mold tracing its way through a maze to the vast, glowing leviathans of the deep ocean. Every organism carries a fragment of genius. Intelligence, emotion, adaptation, they are not ours alone. They are nature's universal language, spoken in light, sound, and movement. And as we walk through forests, sail across seas, or gaze into the eyes of another creature, be it crow, dolphin, or elephant, we are reminded that awareness wears many faces. Beneath every wingbeat, ripple, and heartbeat lies the same spark, the will to live, to connect, to endure. The earth hums with this intelligence, a quiet brilliance that needs no words, only wonder to understand. Their lives in rivers and lakes, growing for decades until one day, driven by an ancient instinct that still baffles science, they begin an extraordinary migration thousands of kilometers away to the Sargasso Sea, a mysterious region of the Atlantic Ocean blanketed by drifting mats of golden brown seaweed. There, hidden in the open blue vastness, the eels spawn and die, completing a cycle so secretive that for centuries humans could only guess where they vanished. From their silvery, muscular adult forms, they leave behind transparent, leaf-shaped larvae called leptocephali that drift slowly across ocean currents for months, perhaps even years, before transforming into tiny glass eels and later into young elvers. These juvenile eels journey upstream into the same rivers their parents once inhabited, though the two generations never meet. It is a story of return without memory, of life navigating vast distances guided by magnetic fields, ocean currents, and instinct encoded deep within their being. To this day, despite advanced satellites and deep-sea technology, much about the eel's mysterious voyage remains unknown. They remind us that nature still keeps some of her secrets, locked within the deep and endless blue. Beneath those same seas, when the day fades and coral reefs grow quiet, parrotfish begin their nightly ritual. As twilight descends and shadows ripple across the coral, the brightly colored parrotfish finds a sheltered crevice and begins to secrete a shimmering cocoon of mucus that envelopes its entire body like a transparent sleeping bag. This delicate, glistening film, invisible in the darkness, masks the fish's scent from nocturnal hunters like moray eels and perhaps serves as a barrier against tiny parasitic crustaceans that roam the reef at night. To watch a parrotfish nestled within its self-made bubble is to glimpse something between magic and survival, a fragile defense spun from the fish's own body, a temporary fortress against the dangers that lurk in the night. As dawn breaks, the parrotfish tears free from its cocoon and resumes its daytime task, scraping at coral with its powerful beak-like jaws, grinding rock into powder that drifts down as fine, white sand. Much of the world's tropical beaches owe their beauty to these tireless reef architects. Each night and day, their strange cycle of sleep and feeding connects the ocean's depths to the sunlit shores we walk upon. In another corner of the underwater world, another creature tells a story that seems to turn the laws of biology upside down: the seahorse. In this graceful and tender species, it is not the female who bears young, but the male. After days of courtship dances, twisting, changing colors, and gently linking tails, the female deposits her eggs into a specialized pouch on the male's abdomen. Within that small chamber, the male fertilizes the eggs and nurtures them, providing oxygen, nutrients, and protection until the young are ready to emerge. When the time comes, the male goes into labor, his body contracting as he releases dozens of tiny, perfectly formed seahorses into the sea. The sight of a father giving birth is both surreal and deeply moving, a living contradiction to our assumptions about nature's roles. This delicate inversion of motherhood and fatherhood reminds us that life is endlessly inventive, rewriting its own rules to suit its needs. From such moments of tenderness beneath the waves, we rise to the surface world, where water becomes both mirror and stage for creatures that defy gravity itself. Water striders, insects so light they seem made of air, glide effortlessly across ponds and still rivers as though walking on glass. Their secret lies in physics. Their long, spindly legs are covered with microscopic hairs that repel water, trapping air and allowing them to rest on the surface without sinking. Each stride presses dimples into the water, and surface tension pushes them forward in smooth, rhythmic glides. Sometimes entire colonies move together, creating mesmerizing patterns of motion that shimmer in sunlight. For these creatures, the surface of the water is not a boundary between two worlds. It is a world of its own, rich in food, safety, and light. To humans, walking on water is a miracle. To these tiny dancers, it is an everyday performance perfected over millions of years of evolution. Their effortless grace reminds us that nature finds balance between air and liquid, between fragility and strength. Yet among all the resilient beings on Earth, few rival the toughness of the tardigrade, also known as the water bear. Barely a millimeter long, with stubby legs and a plump, translucent body, the tardigrade seems harmless, almost comical, until you learn what it can endure. It can survive in boiling heat, in freezing cold, in crushing pressure deep beneath the ocean, and even in the vacuum of space. When faced with desiccation or radiation, it withdraws into a state called cryptobiosis, curling into a dry, inert speck, shutting down nearly all metabolic activity. In this form, it can survive for decades, awaiting only a drop of water to revive it. Inside, special proteins and sugars form a glass-like shield around its DNA, preventing damage from radiation and oxygen radicals. Scientists study tardigrades in hopes of unlocking secrets that could revolutionize medicine, cryogenics, and even interplanetary travel. This tiny creature, invisible to the naked eye, teaches us that strength is not about size or ferocity, but about resilience, the quiet, unbreakable will to endure the impossible and rise again. Across deserts that seem utterly lifeless, another kind of survivor hides where no one would think to look, inside rocks themselves. In the scorching Atacama Desert, or the icy, wind-scoured valleys of Antarctica, certain algae have learned to live within the translucent layers of stone. These microscopic pioneers, known as endoliths, survive on faint trickles of sunlight that penetrate through the mineral, drawing what little moisture seeps in from dew or melting frost. Their rocky shelters shield them from deadly UV rays and the desiccating air, turning the stone itself into a fortress of life. Scientists have found these hidden algae thriving in conditions so harsh they are used as models for extraterrestrial environments like Mars. They remind us that life needs little, just a glimmer of energy, a droplet of water, and time. To live inside stone is to reject the limits we place on life, to whisper that survival is not about abundance but possibility. And when we look at lichens, we see life not hidden, but united. Lichens, those crusty, moss-like patches that grow on rocks and trees, are not single organisms but remarkable partnerships, alliances between fungi and algae, or sometimes cyanobacteria. The fungus builds the home, providing shelter, structure, and access to minerals, while the algae harvests sunlight, feeding both with the sugars they create. Together, they form a being neither could become alone, a perfect example of cooperation sculpted by evolution. Lichens colonize the most barren landscapes, from frozen tundra to sun-baked cliffs, slowly breaking down stone into soil and paving the way for other forms of life. Some lichens live for centuries, even millennia, enduring heat, cold, and drought with serene patience. They are living symbols of partnership, proving that in nature, survival often depends not on domination, but on unity. Beneath the crust of Earth, in dark, oxygenless depths, another form of life rewrites the rules of existence. Certain bacteria have evolved to breathe not oxygen but metal. In murky sediments or iron-rich caves, these microbes use iron, manganese, or even uranium as electron acceptors, exhaling rust-like minerals in the process. By transforming metals from one chemical state to another, they quietly reshape their environments, playing unseen roles in the cycles of matter that sustain the planet. Their metabolism offers a glimpse into Earth's ancient history, when oxygen was scarce and the first living things relied on chemistry alien to us. It also opens the door to imagination. If creatures can breathe metal here, what forms of life might thrive on worlds without oxygen? Perhaps beneath the crust of Mars or within the icy oceans of Europa. Life, it seems, is infinitely resourceful, adapting even to the unthinkable. And just as life has learned to breathe metal, some forms have learned to eat plastic. Our most enduring invention, plastic, was meant to last forever. Yet now, in landfills, oceans, and soils, microbes are beginning to break it down. Scientists have discovered bacteria like Ideonella sicyensis, which produces enzymes that digest polyethylene terephthalate, the plastic used in bottles and packaging. Fungi, too, have been found dissolving polyurethane and other polymers, turning waste into carbon and water. These microbial pioneers could help humanity fight one of its most persistent environmental crises, offering hope that even our mistakes can become part of the cycle of renewal. In their invisible labor, they remind us that nature is not passive. It adapts, reclaims, and transforms, always seeking balance. From eels voyaging across oceans to parrotfish weaving cocoons of safety, from fathers that give birth to creatures that feast on metal and plastic, life on Earth is a vast, interconnected story of invention, endurance, and transformation. Each species, no matter how small or strange, carries within it a spark of creativity shaped by billions of years of change. In the quiet persistence of a lichen, the resilience of a tardigrade, or the tender courage of a seahorse father, we see the same truth repeated, that life is not defined by what it has, but by what it makes of what it's given. Against odds, against time, against the pull of entropy, life endures, and in doing so, it dreams, adapts, and continues to astonish those who pause long enough to look. Digest plastics in laboratory experiments, and though their efficiency is slow and imperfect, their very existence hints at life's boundless adaptability. In just a few decades, evolution has already begun shaping microscopic organisms to exploit a substance that never existed in nature before, transforming human waste into a potential source of energy. It's both a sobering reflection of our impact and a testament to life's relentless creativity, its unyielding instinct to adapt, endure, and thrive no matter the challenge. Beneath the soil, another story unfolds, one that reveals the hidden intelligence of forests. Underfoot, tangled beneath layers of earth and roots, lies a vast living network, fine threads of fungi weaving through the soil to connect trees and plants in a communal web scientists have poetically named the Wood Wide Web. Through these underground filaments, trees share nutrients and information, sugars flow from the strong to the weak, nitrogen and phosphorus pass between species, and warning signals travel when pests or drought threaten the canopy. Older, larger trees, often called mother trees, stand as guardians, nourishing younger saplings shaded by their crowns. They sustain them through this hidden network, ensuring the continuity of the forest even as individual lives fade. What appears above ground as silent, solitary trunks is below a vibrant society of exchange and cooperation. When we walk through a forest aware of this secret conversation, the ground beneath our feet feels alive with whispers, roots and fungi entwined in dialogues millions of years old, a symphony of chemical words shared in silence. Yet the forest's communication doesn't end below the soil. Even in the air above, plants converse through invisible messages. When insects begin to chew their leaves, certain plants release volatile chemicals into the wind. These airborne alarms drift to nearby plants, warning them of danger and triggering defenses, bitter toxins, tougher leaves, or the release of scents that lure predators of the attacking insects. This invisible war of perfumes is a language written in chemistry, an exchange beyond human senses but vital to the balance of ecosystems. To us, it's a gentle fragrance on the breeze. To the plants, it's the scent of battle, a coded warning that shapes survival itself. In this world, plants are far from passive. They are perceptive beings, capable of awareness and response, participating in a living dialogue that spans entire landscapes. Among the most fascinating of these green intelligences is the Venus flytrap, a plant that acts like an animal. Resting motionless in its humid home, its jaw-like leaves lie open, waiting. Along the inner surface of each trap are fine trigger hairs, and when an unsuspecting insect touches one, nothing happens. The plant waits. But when a second touch occurs within about 20 seconds, the trap snaps shut in a fraction of a heartbeat. In that moment, the Venus flytrap has counted. It has measured time and motion, distinguishing between random debris and living prey. As the trapped insect struggles, more movements stimulate the release of digestive enzymes that slowly dissolve it, transforming flesh into nutrients. Here, intelligence wears the color green. It is patience turned into precision, stillness into strategy. Watching this quiet hunter is to witness a kind of mind without a brain, a calculation done through chemistry rather than neurons, revealing that the boundary between instinct and intelligence is far more fluid than we imagine. And even beyond predation, some plants show signs of memory. The sensitive plant Mimosa pudica, famous for folding its leaves when touched, has astonished scientists with a kind of learning behavior. When repeatedly dropped or shaken in harmless ways, the plant initially folds in defense but eventually stops reacting, as if realizing the stimulus poses no threat. Weeks later, it still remembers, remaining calm during familiar experiences while reacting again to new dangers. This memory is not stored in a brain but in chemical and cellular states that alter its future responses. In such behavior, we glimpse a form of awareness rooted not in nerves but in the quiet logic of living cells. Plants, though rooted, are not unknowing. They observe, remember, and adapt to the world that shapes them, their patience concealing an extraordinary responsiveness. Among the champions of growth and resilience stands bamboo, one of Earth's fastest-growing plants, a symbol of nature's power to renew. In the right conditions, bamboo can stretch almost a meter in a single day, rising so quickly that its ascent can be measured in hours. Its hollow, segmented stems channel water and nutrients with remarkable efficiency, propelling its upward rush toward light. For centuries, bamboo has served humanity as a versatile gift, food, building material, weapon, art, and instrument. It bends but rarely breaks, earning it a reputation as a living symbol of strength through flexibility, patience through persistence. While trees take decades to mature, bamboo regenerates swiftly after harvest, restoring forests and providing shelter within seasons. Its existence reminds us that nature's resilience lies not only in endurance but in speed, in the ability to adapt and flourish in rhythm with change. And deep in the rainforests of Sumatra, another marvel captures human imagination, the Titan arum, often called the corpse flower. Towering over 3 meters tall when in full bloom, it produces the largest unbranched inflorescence in the world. For most of its life, it remains hidden beneath the soil as a massive corm, gathering energy for a rare and dramatic event. When the flower finally emerges, it unfurls into a deep crimson spathe surrounding a central spike, releasing an odor that fills the air with the stench of rotting flesh. To humans, the smell is revolting. To carrion beetles and flesh flies, it's irresistible. They swarm to the bloom, crawling across its surface, unknowingly spreading its pollen. Within days, the bloom collapses, its purpose fulfilled. This brief spectacle of beauty and decay draws crowds of curious onlookers around the world, united by wonder at nature's audacious theater. In its fleeting grandeur, the Titan arum mirrors life itself, brief, bold, and unforgettable. Evolution's artistry reaches new heights in the world of orchids, where flowers employ illusion and trickery to survive. Some orchids have evolved to mimic the appearance and send a female insect so perfectly that males are deceived into attempting to mate with them. The insect's movements spread the plant's pollen, turning desire into an instrument of reproduction. It's a breathtaking deception, one species using another's instincts to fulfill its own destiny. To human eyes, orchids are symbols of beauty and elegance. To the insects they seduce, they are fleeting mirages of love, intricate traps shaped by evolution's subtle hand. This delicate balance between seduction and survival shows us that nature's intelligence often lies not in strength, but in deception, artistry, and persuasion. Equally strange and captivating is the corpse flower, another denizen of the Sumatran rainforest, which perfects the strategy of death's disguise. Its powerful stench mimics decaying meat so vividly that carrion-eating flies swarm in search of food or egg-laying grounds, only to find themselves serving as unwitting pollinators. The flower's immense size, deep red hue, and heat-producing interior all enhance the illusion of fresh carrion. For a few days, the jungle resonates with the hum of insects drawn by this morbid invitation, ensuring the plant's lineage continues. To us, the corpse flower is both grotesque and majestic, a reminder that nature does not abide by our notions of beauty. What repels us may be life's masterpiece, designed perfectly for its own purpose. And while some plants use deception or speed, others use time itself as their greatest ally. Seeds, nature's quiet travelers, are capsules of potential designed to endure the ages. Protected by tough shells, they can survive drought, fire, freezing, and the slow grind of centuries, waiting for the perfect moment to awaken. In Siberia, scientists revived a flowering plant from a seed entombed in permafrost for over 30,000 years, its delicate petals opening beneath a modern sun. In the Judean desert, a 2,000-year-old date palm seed sprouted anew, bridging millennia in a single act of rebirth. This extraordinary endurance arises from seeds' ability to suspend life itself, to halt metabolism, seal away fragile DNA, and wait in a timeless pause until water and warmth return. What appears as death is in truth deep patience. Within these small, unassuming forms lies a power greater than any animal's, a refusal to yield to time. Every seed is a memory of life's persistence, a whisper from the past carrying the promise of renewal. And so, from the hidden networks beneath forests to the vast blooms that mimic decay, from plants that count and remember to seeds that sleep for millennia, the living world reveals its intelligence in infinite forms. Life, whether in fungus, flower, or fern, is not passive. It communicates, strategizes, and endures with astonishing grace. Beneath every root and petal lies a story of adaptation, an ancient conversation between life and environment that never truly ends. To see nature in this way is to realize that awareness, creativity, and resilience are not uniquely human traits but are woven through the entire tapestry of existence. Every forest hums with silent voices. Every seed holds centuries of wisdom. In this great web of being, even the stillness of a plant is not stillness at all. It is a living patience, a vibrant intelligence quietly shaping the world. To hold such a seed in your hand is to feel the patience of nature carrying tomorrow's forests and silent sleep, a miracle of endurance that speaks to life's ancient persistence. Along tropical coastlines where the sea meets the land, mangrove forests rise like living fortresses, their tangled roots woven into intricate webs that anchor them against tides and storms. These trees thrive where few others can, in brackish waters saturated with salt, heat, and mud. Their survival is a story of ingenuity. Some species filter salt directly from seawater through microscopic pores in their roots, drawing only the fresh water they need to live, while others excrete salt crystals through their leaves, leaving behind a dusting of white that glitters in the sun. Their gnarled roots not only secure them in shifting sands but also create underwater havens for fish, crabs, and countless young marine creatures. In their shade, life multiplies, protected from waves and erosion. Mangroves are the guardians of coasts, quiet architects of balance, showing that strength often lies in adaptation, not resistance. And when the flames of wildfires sweep through grasslands, consuming everything in their path, life does not end, it waits beneath the ash. Many grasses, unlike trees, have hidden reserves stored underground in rhizomes and bulbs that lie untouched by the fire's heat. When the surface cools and rains fall, these secret stores send up new green shoots, turning charred earth into vibrant plains again. Fire, often seen as destruction, becomes renewal, clearing away decay and enriching the soil with ash. In this dance of flame and growth, nature reveals her resilience, showing how endings give rise to beginnings. Across the oceans, a very different world thrives beneath the waves. Coral reefs, shimmering with color, alive with movement, and yet built by creatures so small they seem almost invisible. Coral polyps, tiny relatives of jellyfish, build these vast underwater kingdoms by secreting calcium carbonate, slowly constructing the hard skeletons that accumulate into reefs over millennia. Each tiny animal adds a layer to the foundation that shelters a quarter of all marine life. Reefs are homes, nurseries, and fortresses, teeming with diversity. Without them, tropical seas would be silent deserts. They protect coastlines, absorb the fury of storms, and turn sunlight into ecosystems of beauty and survival. Among these living cathedrals, clownfish make their homes inside the stinging tentacles of sea anemones, places of danger transformed into sanctuaries. The clownfish, wrapped in a protective mucus, swims unharmed where others would die, and in return, it guards the anemone from predators and keeps it clean. Their bond is a perfect harmony between trust and danger, each species completing the other's life. It is a living metaphor for cooperation, where survival depends not on dominance but on partnership. Around these reefs, other remarkable relationships flourish. Cleaner fish, such as wrasses, set up stations where larger fish, sometimes even predators, line up to have their parasites removed. It's an extraordinary truce in the ocean's competitive world. The hunters become clients, and the tiny cleaners, their healers. Watching them work is like witnessing an underwater marketplace of peace, where life thrives through mutual benefit rather than conflict. This cooperation shows that even in nature's harshest realms, balance can arise from trust. Yet not all ocean dwellers find rest. For certain sharks, movement is existence itself. These ancient predators must swim constantly to breathe, their gills depending on the flow of oxygen-rich water that passes only when they move forward. Sleep, for them, comes in fragments, a shutting down of parts of the brain, while their bodies glide endlessly through the dark waters. Forever in motion, they live in a dreamlike rhythm of survival, embodying an eternal journey where stillness means death. The ocean for them is both home and highway, cradle and challenge. In their silent grace lies the poetry of endurance, the essence of life that must keep moving to remain alive. From these restless hunters to fragile hatchlings, every creature finds its way. On moonlit beaches, newborn sea turtles break free from the sand, guided by the light of stars and the shimmering horizon of waves. Their journey to the ocean is a race against time and predators, but it is also guided by ancient instincts, by the glow of celestial bodies that have led their ancestors for millions of years. As adults, they cross entire oceans, only to return to the very beaches where they began, drawn by magnetic fields and memory. It is one of nature's greatest navigational feats, a reminder that even the faintest light in the darkness can be a guide home. In the frozen world of the South, penguins thrive where few creatures dare to live. They dive through icy waters, endure brutal winds, and survive without access to fresh water by performing a feat of biology as astonishing as any invention. Hidden within their heads are specialized glands that extract salt from their blood, allowing them to drink seawater without harm. The salt trickles from their beaks in tiny droplets or bursts forth in sneezes, leaving their bodies pure and balanced. Watching them waddle and slide across the ice, one might never guess the complexity within. Their sleek forms are miracles of design, shaped by the demands of both land and sea. And high above, where the ocean stretches endlessly below and no land offers rest, some birds have mastered another impossible art: sleeping while flying. The frigate bird, for example, soars for weeks over open water, taking brief micro-naps midair, shutting down one half of its brain while the other stays alert enough to navigate the currents. In these drifting moments of partial rest, the birds renew themselves while never ceasing their journey. It is a perfect balance between vigilance and surrender, between movement and stillness. Nature, in her wisdom, has given every creature the tools it needs to endure, to thrive, to live within its world in harmony with forces far greater than itself. From the tiniest seed waiting centuries to awaken, to the vast coral kingdoms built by unseen hands, from trees that drink the sea to birds that sleep on the wind, life persists in infinite forms, adapting, remembering, and reaching for survival in ways both wondrous and profound. The patience of a seed, the rhythm of the tides, the cooperation of species, the resilience after fire, all these threads weave together into one vast, living story. It is the story of Earth itself, a planet not merely alive but ingenious, where every organism, from the humblest blade of grass to the soaring bird, plays its part in a symphony of endurance and renewal. To truly see this world is to realize that nature is not separate from us, it is a mirror of our own potential. The persistence of the mangrove, the memory of the mimosa, the flight of the frigate bird, all whisper the same truth: life, in every form, finds a way. It is a breathtaking adaptation, to dream while in motion, to rest without stopping, to float through endless skies half awake and half aware, guided only by instinct and wind. Imagine drifting across the vast air currents, eyes softly closed, suspended between sleep and flight, a delicate balance between exhaustion and grace. For birds that live at the edge of endurance, sleep itself becomes fluid and creative, molded to fit a life of endless travel. Among these aerial wanderers, the albatross reigns supreme, a master of the wind whose wings stretch over 3.5 meters, designed for a flight that never seems to end. Through a technique called dynamic soaring, it dances with invisible forces, angling into air currents to extract energy from the atmosphere itself. It glides for hours, sometimes days, without a single wing beat, tracing sweeping arcs across oceans so wide they curve with the Earth's horizon. These great travelers circle the globe with effortless majesty, sleeping while gliding, drinking rain from the air, and only touching land to raise their young. To watch an albatross soaring over the waves is to witness a living spirit of the wind, a creature whose entire existence is written in the movement of air and sky. If the albatross embodies the grandeur of freedom, then the hummingbird captures the miracle of motion in miniature. Tiny yet fierce, it hovers in midair, wings beating faster than the human eye can follow, heart racing over 1,000 times per minute. Its body burns energy at a rate so extreme that it must sip nectar almost constantly, flitting from flower to flower hundreds of times each day just to survive. At night, it slips into a state called torpor, a temporary hibernation that slows its heart and breath to conserve what little energy remains. The hummingbird, weighing less than a penny, is a contradiction of fragility and strength, delicate as a gem yet capable of flying across the Gulf of Mexico in one continuous flight. Its pulse is the heartbeat of vitality itself, living proof that power and beauty can exist in the smallest form. Across the forests, the world's stage widens as birds transform survival into art. Courtship among them becomes theater, dances, displays, and performances as intricate as any ballet. The birds of paradise, with their kaleidoscopic feathers and dazzling choreography, embody this union of instinct and artistry. Males clear patches of forest floor, polish their display grounds, and begin their performances, hopping, twirling, and transforming their bodies into living sculptures of color and rhythm. Some spread their feathers into perfect circles of symmetry, others perform precise synchronized movements, each gesture judged by watchful females who select the most skilled and expressive partners. Elsewhere, grebes skim across the surface of lakes in paired dances, their movements so perfectly mirrored that they seem reflections rather than two separate beings. These courtship rituals are not mere instinct, they are language, poetry, and art, written in movement. In each display, life declares itself not only through survival, but through beauty. And yet, in other corners of the world, the art of sound takes the lead. Deep within the rainforests of Australia lives the lyrebird, a creature whose mastery of mimicry is unparalleled. With tail feathers shaped like its namesake instrument, it performs concerts that weave together the sounds of the natural and human world. The lyrebird can reproduce the songs of other birds, the crackle of twigs, the click of cameras, and even the mechanical roar of chainsaws and car alarms. Each male layers these sounds into elaborate compositions, echoing both the wild and the artificial, transforming the forest into a living soundscape of past and present. Standing among the trees, to hear a lyrebird sing is to hear the voice of the world itself, nature imitating man, man's creations returning to the wild. It is both haunting and extraordinary, a reminder that evolution, too, has its musicians. And if the lyrebird's song fills the forest, then the Arctic tern's journey writes its music across the sky. This small, graceful bird is perhaps Earth's greatest traveler, migrating from the Arctic to Antarctica and back again each year, a journey of over 70,000 kilometers. Chasing endless daylight, it experiences 2 summers every year, living more hours of sunlight than any other creature. Across its lifetime, an Arctic tern may fly the equivalent of 3 trips to the moon and back. It faces tempests, predators, and exhaustion, yet returns faithfully to its nesting ground year after year, guided by instinct and celestial cues. Its migration is not just a means of survival, it is a cosmic dance, a living testament to endurance written across the planet's face. While the tern commands the skies, far smaller travelers drift within them. Young spiders, newly hatched and seeking a place of their own, climb to the highest branches or blades of grass, lift their bodies, and release silk threads into the wind. These gossamer strands catch invisible air currents, carrying the spiders across vast distances, a behavior known as ballooning. With no wings, they fly. Some rise thousands of meters into the atmosphere, floating among clouds. Others cross oceans, landing on distant ships or shores. They are the sky's quiet voyagers, proof that flight is not confined to birds or machines. Watching one rise, light as dust and bright as silk, is to see nature's ingenuity in motion, a traveler born of patience and air. And within that same silk lies one of nature's greatest engineering marvels. Orb weaver spiders spin webs of such precision and strength that human science has yet to fully replicate them. Their silk, lighter than cotton yet stronger than steel by weight, combines flexibility and durability in perfect balance. The spider weaves several types of silk, one for the strong radial lines, another for the sticky spiral threads that capture prey, and still another for wrapping or protection. Each web, glistening with dew at dawn, is both a trap and a masterpiece, capable of holding creatures many times the spider's size. In laboratories around the world, scientists study this silk, dreaming of artificial fibers that could revolutionize medicine, construction, and technology. Yet the spider performs this miracle effortlessly, night after night, guided by instincts older than civilization. Beneath the ground, another kind of engineer works in shadows, the trapdoor spider. Hidden beneath leaves and soil, it digs a burrow and lines it with silk, crafting a hinged lid of earth and plant matter that blends perfectly with its surroundings. This door swings silently open and closed, protecting the spider from predators while serving as a deadly trap for unsuspecting prey. Inside, the spider waits motionless, sensing vibrations through the silk threads that radiate from the entrance. When a victim passes by, the door bursts open with lightning speed, the spider strikes, and the door closes again, leaving no trace of the hunt. It is a masterpiece of stealth and patience, a world of hinges, shadows, and secrets beneath the ground, an unseen drama played out in silence. But not all of nature's strategies are gentle. Some veer into the eerie and the macabre, such as the parasitic wasps that turn their prey into living hosts. Certain species inject their eggs directly into caterpillars or cockroaches, the larvae feeding inside while releasing chemicals that alter the host's behavior. Electric eels, despite their misleading name, are actually a type of knife fish found in the rivers of South America, and they are renowned for their extraordinary ability to produce electricity. These fascinating creatures can generate electric shocks of up to 600 volts, powerful enough to stun large animals, even horses, using specialized organs that make up most of their long, slender bodies. These organs are filled with cells called electrocytes, which function much like batteries, releasing stored electrical energy in a controlled burst when needed. The eels use different strengths of electric discharge for various purposes: weak pulses to navigate and communicate in murky waters, and strong, rapid bursts to hunt or defend themselves. When an electric eel senses prey, it releases a series of shocks that paralyze the victim, making it easy to swallow. What's even more incredible is that they can use electricity almost like radar, detecting the faint distortions caused by nearby objects in the water. This adaptation allows them to see in total darkness, painting the world around them in patterns of invisible current. Electric eels remind us that life can find ways to harness even the most abstract forces of nature to survive. They live in environments where visibility is nearly non-existent, yet they have turned the very energy that powers lightning into a biological tool. From frogs that birth their young through their skin to lizards that sprint across rivers, from birds that glide across oceans without rest to insects that turn others into living zombies, the animal kingdom offers an endless gallery of astonishing adaptations, each one an answer to the challenges of survival on Earth. In every corner of the world, evolution has crafted solutions that are as elegant as they are bizarre, each species a living experiment in possibility. Consider the honeybee, whose dance floor is a hive alive with purpose. In the dim hum of wax chambers, foragers return from distant fields, bodies dusted with pollen, and begin their waggle dance. A rhythmic figure eight performed with precision that encodes the direction and distance of flowers relative to the sun's position. The other bees observe, antennae quivering, decoding the message before they dart away to harvest nectar exactly where instructed. This ancient choreography, perfected through millions of years, allows entire colonies to act as one unified mind. Just as the bee communicates through movement, so too do albatrosses through flight, soaring for hours above the rolling oceans without a single flap, resting on the wind as though the entire sky were their cradle. They sleep midair, drink from the rain, and touch land only to raise their young, a rhythm of existence so vast it feels like poetry in motion. Compare this to the hummingbird, its heart beating more than 1,000 times a minute, wings a blur of invisible energy as it hovers before a flower. Every second of its life is lived at the edge of exhaustion, a flicker of brilliance fueled by constant motion and delicate balance. While one bird glides on eternal currents, the other burns like a tiny flame, yet both are testaments to life's ingenuity in mastering the air. On the ground, spiders weave architectures of silk stronger than steel, intricate webs that shimmer with dew like galaxies suspended between branches. Some species turn that silk into parachutes, catching the wind to travel miles above the earth, unseen voyagers drifting through invisible highways of air. Beneath the soil, trapdoor spiders craft hinged homes with precision, waiting motionless behind camouflaged lids until the faint tremor of a passing insect triggers their lightning-fast strike. Evolution, in its endless creativity, builds engineers from instinct and survival from stillness. And then there are creatures whose very biology defies our imagination, frogs that turn transparent, revealing the pulsing machinery of life beneath their skin, lizards that shoot blood from their eyes as a defense against predators, and snakes that glide through the air by flattening their bodies into living wings. Each adaptation feels like a glimpse into an alien world, yet all belong to the same earth we inhabit. In tropical rainforests, the Suriname toad carries new life within her skin, her back transforming into a living nursery. When her young emerge fully formed through her flesh, it may seem grotesque, but it is nature's way of ensuring safety in a perilous world. Far away, in the Arctic skies, terns migrate from pole to pole, chasing eternal daylight in a migration so immense that a single bird may travel the distance to the moon and back 3 times in its lifetime. In these migrations, dances, glides, and hunts, we see not randomness but exquisite design born from struggle, each creature's behavior and form an answer written in the language of adaptation. Even the wasp, often reviled, demonstrates the eerie brilliance of evolution. Some parasitic wasps inject their eggs into living insects, chemically controlling their victims' behavior so that they protect the developing larvae, an unsettling mastery over another's will. It is a reminder that nature is not merely beautiful but complex, operating with both artistry and ruthlessness in its pursuit of life. Whether it is a lizard sprinting across the surface of a river, a crocodile slowing its heartbeat to survive months without food, or an electric fish conversing through signals of current, every species carries a story of invention. Life has learned to use sound, light, magnetism, vibration, and electricity, even chemistry and deceit, to persist in an ever-changing world. And what connects them all is not just survival, but adaptation, the ceaseless transformation of form and function to fit the demands of the environment. From the buzzing hives of bees to the silent depths where electric fish whisper through current, the natural world pulses with communication, intelligence, and creativity. Watching these creatures is to glimpse reflections of ourselves, curiosity in a crow's eyes, tenderness in a frog's care for its young, strategy in a spider's web. We are surrounded by lives that think, feel, and adapt in ways both alien and familiar. To study them is to recognize that evolution is not simply the story of survival of the fittest, but the triumph of imagination, the endless experiment of life shaping itself into forms that defy expectation. And perhaps, in every bird that dances, every eel that sparks with energy, and every insect that turns another into a vessel of its offspring, there is a single message whispered across time: life will always find a way. The electric eel, one of the Amazon's most remarkable inhabitants, is a living paradox, both fish and generator, both hunter and current itself. Despite its misleading name, it is not a true eel but a type of knife fish, evolved to harness electricity in ways that seem almost supernatural. Hidden beneath its smooth, elongated body are thousands of specialized cells called electrocytes, arranged like living batteries. Each cell can produce a tiny electrical potential, but when discharged together, they unleash a shock powerful enough to knock a human off their feet, or even stun a horse. This electricity is not just a weapon, it is a language and a map, a survival tool shaped by the dark, muddy waters of South America's rivers. The eel uses powerful bursts of current to paralyze prey and weaker pulses to sense its environment, navigating through murky depths where sight is useless. When it strikes, the energy arcs invisibly through the water, freezing its victim in an instant. A stunning display of nature's ingenuity, a predator wielding the power of lightning. For the indigenous peoples of the Amazon, the electric eel has long been a symbol of nature's raw force, revered and feared in equal measure, embodying the primal energy that thrums through every living thing. Yet electricity is not the only light that life has learned to wield. In the ocean's twilight, where sunlight fades into eternal dusk, another form of illumination reigns: bioluminescence. Many deep-sea creatures cannot produce light on their own, so they rely on colonies of bioluminescent bacteria that live symbiotically within their bodies. These microscopic partners emit a steady glow, turning fish into living lanterns that flicker beneath the waves. Some species, like the flashlight fish, carry glowing patches beneath their eyes, which they can blink on and off like living Morse code, sending silent signals through the dark. The relationship between host and bacteria is one of elegant cooperation. The fish provide shelter and nutrients, while the bacteria reward them with light. In this partnership, evolution has sculpted a form of communication and camouflage that blurs the boundary between biology and chemistry. Some fish glow to blend with the faint shimmer of the surface above, hiding from predators below, while others use their light as bait, drawing curious prey close enough to be devoured. It is a dance of light and shadow, a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, life finds ways to shine. Just as bacteria and fish speak through light, other sea dwellers communicate through color itself. Squid, masters of disguise and expression, can change their skin's appearance in a heartbeat. Beneath their soft, shifting skin lie layers of pigment cells called chromatophores, each capable of expanding or contracting to display brilliant hues of red, yellow, and brown. Beneath those, iridophores and leucophores reflect and scatter light, adding flashes of metallic sheen. This living canvas allows squid to become invisible against coral, ripple with anger, shimmer with courtship, or pulse with warning. Scientists believe that many squid use these rapid color changes to communicate with one another: a flicker of stripes to signal aggression, a wave of patterns to coordinate movement in groups, or a soft glow to attract mates. When hundreds of squid gather and pulse in unison, it creates an underwater light show more dazzling than any human-made display, a silent language written in living color. Each pattern is fleeting, yet filled with meaning, like words dissolving into water. But not all squid live in bright, busy seas. The vampire squid, despite its chilling name, is a creature of stillness and subtlety, drifting slowly in the oxygen-starved depths where few others can survive. It does not hunt, it collects. Using long, sticky filaments, it gathers the fine, marine snow that drifts endlessly down from above, fragments of dead plankton, waste, and decay. With delicate patience, it rolls these bits into tiny food balls, consuming the ocean's leftovers with quiet persistence. Its dark cloak-like webbing and pale blue eyes give it a ghostly beauty, a relic of an ancient world when cephalopods ruled the seas. The vampire squid's secret is not strength, but endurance, an ability to thrive where oxygen is scarce, conserving energy with every slow, graceful movement. In its existence lies a profound lesson: that survival is not always about power, but about harmony with limitation, a quiet mastery of life in a realm that seems unlivable. Deeper still, in the freezing waters near Antarctica, dwells the colossal squid, a being so immense and mysterious that only a handful have ever been seen by human eyes. Growing up to 15 meters long and heavier than a car, it is a true giant of the deep. Yet what truly distinguishes it are its eyes, enormous, dinner-plate-sized orbs, the largest of any known creature. With them, the squid can detect the faintest glimmer of bioluminescent prey or the silhouette of a hunting sperm whale, its greatest enemy. In the abyssal dark, those vast eyes are its window to survival, tuned to the slightest whisper of light in an ocean of blackness. To gaze into such an eye, were it possible, would be to feel the ocean itself staring back, ancient, silent, and unknowable. The colossal squid is more myth than reality, a creature of the depths that reminds us how much of our world remains unseen, how much mystery still drifts beneath the waves. And just when we think nature's creativity has reached its limit, it reveals something even stranger: the barrelfish, with its completely transparent head. floating motionless in the cold, pitch-black waters. Its skull is not opaque bone but a crystal-clear dome through which its glowing green eyes can be seen, rotating independently within. These eyes normally point upward, scanning the faint outlines of prey above, but can swivel forward to track and capture food. The transparent shield protects them from the stings of drifting predators called siphonophores, while allowing the fish an uninterrupted field of vision. It is an alien sight, a head like glass, an organism that sees without barriers. In the deep ocean, where survival means innovation, evolution turns transparency itself into armor. Then comes the anglerfish, one of the ocean's most haunting forms of life. In the eternal night of the abyss, where pressure would crush most beings, the anglerfish dangles a glowing lure, a fleshy stalk tipped with bioluminescent bacteria, in front of its gaping mouth. To smaller fish, that soft glow is irresistible, a promise of food or safety, but it is an illusion. The moment they approach, the anglerfish's jaws snap shut, engulfing them whole in a fraction of a second. What seems like gentle light is a weapon, and what appears like stillness is deadly patience. The females, much larger and more fearsome, carry the lures. Males are tiny, parasitic, fusing permanently to the females' bodies and becoming little more than living sperm banks. It is a strange, almost poetic reversal of roles, the blending of two beings into one, a partnership that ensures survival in an unforgiving world. In the deep, light itself becomes life, and the anglerfish wields it as both seduction and snare. But the ocean is not only home to hunters, it is also full of artists. Decorator crabs transform themselves into living gardens. Using hooked bristles on their shells, they pluck pieces of sponge, coral, and seaweed, even stinging anemones, and attach them carefully to their backs. These adornments disguise their shape and make them nearly invisible against the shifting patterns of the reef. Some decorations serve more than camouflage. Stinging anemones deter predators, and in return, the crab carries them to new feeding grounds. Watching such a crab move is like seeing the seafloor come to life, a tiny ecosystem walking across the sand. Its every step is a blend of elegance and practicality, proof that survival can be beautiful. The ocean's ingenuity does not end there. Hermit crabs, for instance, engage in a behavior so cooperative it borders on civilization. Since they cannot grow their own shells, they rely on discarded snail shells for homes. But as they grow, they must find larger ones, often leading to an extraordinary ritual known as the vacancy chain. When a new, larger shell appears, nearby hermit crabs gather, inspecting it with curiosity. Soon, they form a line from smallest to largest, each waiting patiently for the one ahead to upgrade. When the biggest crab claims the new shell, a synchronized shuffle begins, each crab slipping neatly into the home vacated by the next in line. Within minutes, every crab has a new shelter, perfectly fitted. It is a moment of cooperation in a world we assume is ruled by competition, a glimpse of order in the chaos of nature. Even among creatures with no language, no society as we understand it, there is harmony, a shared rhythm of survival. And as we journey through these wonders, eels that wield electricity, squid that write in color, fish that glow, and crabs that decorate themselves, one truth emerges with clarity: life is endlessly inventive. In every habitat, from the shallow reefs to the blackest trenches, from coral gardens to the freezing poles, evolution has shaped beings that challenge imagination. Some breathe without oxygen, others see without light, some communicate through pulses of current, and others through color and motion. Yet all are connected by the same drive, the will to endure. The deep ocean, often seen as lifeless and desolate, is in truth a realm of miracles, a living laboratory where nature experiments endlessly with form and function. Each creature is a testament to resilience, proof that even in the most extreme conditions, life not only survives but flourishes. The electric eel's jolt, the flashlight fish's glow, the squid's shifting hues, the crab's portable garden, all are expressions of life's boundless creativity. To study them is to glimpse the artistry of evolution itself, a force that paints with biology, sculpts with time, and writes the poetry of existence across every living form. And perhaps, as we stare into the luminous eyes of the deep, we are reminded that the story of life is not just one of survival, but of wonder. the ceaseless brilliance of creation finding ways to shine, even in the darkest depths. In other corners of the planet, lakes of pure acid shimmer with impossible hues, places so corrosive they could dissolve metal. Yet life endures there too. In the shallow pools of Ethiopia or abandoned mine drainage sites, acidophiles, microbes that love acid, flourish at pH levels near zero. Their cell walls and proteins are fortified against corrosion, allowing them to survive in chemical conditions that seem designed to destroy. The colors they produce, brilliant reds, yellows, and oranges, paint alien landscapes across the Earth's crust, vivid as if the planet itself were bleeding light. Each one of these organisms expands our understanding of life's flexibility, whispering of possibilities far beyond Earth. If microbes can survive in acid lakes here, could they not endure the sulfuric clouds of Venus, or the methane seas of Titan? Every acid pool, every hot vent, and every frozen crater becomes a clue, a cosmic hint that life's domain might not end where our imagination does. Even beneath our feet, miles below the surface, life persists in ways almost invisible to human senses. In the deep crust of Earth, within cracks filled with ancient water, bacteria and archaea thrive in utter isolation, sealed away for millions of years. They feed on the faintest trickles of energy, hydrogen gas from rock-water reactions, traces of methane, or sulfur compounds. Their metabolism is slow beyond measure. Some divide only once in centuries, existing in a geologic rhythm alien to ours. Scientists drilling deep into gold mines and boreholes have found these microbial communities thriving in the darkness, suggesting that the deep biosphere may contain more living biomass than all the world's oceans combined. The discovery reshapes our understanding of the planet. Earth is not merely alive at its surface. It is alive through and through, breathing quietly in its stone heart. Beneath continents and oceans alike, an invisible realm of life hums in patient persistence, connecting surface and core in a continuous pulse of existence. And where the heat and pressure rise highest, near hydrothermal vents once more, other organisms take life's defiance to its limits. Giant tube worms, clams, and ghostly crabs thrive in toxic, sulfur-rich waters. These creatures live without sunlight or oxygen, depending entirely on chemosynthetic bacteria living inside them. Within the red plumes of the worms, bacteria convert hydrogen sulfide, a gas deadly to most forms of life, into organic molecules that feed their hosts. In this dark symbiosis, poison becomes sustenance, and death becomes life. The result is an ecosystem that thrives entirely on chemical energy, proof that life can find nourishment in the most hostile of environments. Watching these creatures sway in vent currents, one cannot help but feel awe at nature's adaptability. They are like alien beings rooted in blackness, glowing faintly from within, silently rewriting the definition of what a living world can be. Together, these beings, mantis shrimp with their alien vision, glowing worms that turn fear into beauty, microbes that breathe acid, and creatures that eat sulfur, form a portrait of life's boundless ingenuity. They are the extremophiles, the outliers, the pioneers of survival. They thrive in boiling heat, freezing cold, crushing pressure, and lethal radiation. They endure desiccation so complete that their bodies can lie dormant for decades, only to revive when moisture returns. They absorb radiation thousands of times stronger than what would kill a human being. Each one reveals another piece of the truth, that life's domain is not narrow or fragile but vast and resilient. The more we look, the more we realize that Earth is not a planet that merely supports life. It is a planet that is life, in every pore, vent, and crack. Every discovery in these extremes also expands our imagination of the universe. If life can thrive here, in acid, in darkness, in stone, then perhaps it also thrives elsewhere, unseen, waiting. From the bright corals of shallow reefs to the boiling chimneys of the abyss, from the acid pools of Ethiopia to the silent rocks miles below, one story repeats itself again and again. Life adapts, transforms, and persists. It does not ask for comfort or permission. It simply endures. And in that endurance lies the most extraordinary fact of all, that existence itself, fragile and fierce, is the universe's most creative act. Elsewhere across the cosmos, the story of life may not be limited to Earth alone. If microbes can thrive in acid pools that corrode metal, within the ice of glaciers, or in the boiling vents of the ocean floor, then perhaps on distant worlds like Mars, Europa, or Titan, life too persists unseen. The extremophiles of our planet whisper a profound truth, that life is not delicate, but determined, not a rare accident, but a tenacious force that finds a way wherever conditions allow. These microscopic survivors challenge the notion that life is confined to a narrow comfort zone, suggesting instead that it might be universal, awaiting discovery in the frozen seas beneath alien moons or in the sulfuric clouds of other worlds. On our own planet, the saga of life continues and forms both ancient and familiar, bridging eras through evolution's artistry. Consider the birds, delicate, singing, soaring. They are not merely related to dinosaurs, they are dinosaurs. When we watch a robin perch on a fence post or a hawk spiral gracefully against the wind, we are witnessing the living legacy of the theropods, the same family that once included fearsome predators like Velociraptor. Feathers, once thought to have evolved purely for flight, first appeared for warmth or display, vibrant patterns of attraction and intimidation long before wings ever lifted a creature skyward. Over millions of years, feathers transformed from insulation into flight mechanisms, propelling descendants of the great reptilian rulers into the air. Today, their skeletons retain clear echoes of that ancient heritage, hollow bones for lightness, clawed feet, and beak skulls shaped by eons of adaptation. Every flutter, every song in the dawn air, is part of a story that began over 200 million years ago. Dinosaurs never truly vanished, they simply took to the skies. And while some descendants of the ancient age adapted and evolved, others endured by remaining unchanged. Crocodiles are among Earth's most extraordinary examples of evolutionary perfection. Having existed in nearly their present form for over 200 million years, they are living fossils, witnesses to the rise and fall of dinosaurs, the drifting of continents, and the emergence of mammals. Their bodies, armored in scales and driven by powerful jaws, are so perfectly suited to survival that evolution itself had little need to redesign them. Patient and methodical, crocodiles can slow their metabolism to endure long periods without food, lurking for hours or days beneath still waters, waiting with predatory precision. They thrive in rivers, swamps, and coasts from Asia to the Americas, reminders that in the game of life, adaptability sometimes means knowing when not to change. To look into the unblinking eyes of a basking crocodile is to stare into the Mesozoic, a living echo of prehistory that endures unchanged while countless other species have risen and vanished. The line between land and water, too, is not as firm as we once believed. Some fish straddle both worlds, breathing through gills and lungs. Lungfish, for example, can rise to the surface and gulp air, using primitive lungs that allow them to survive when their ponds dry into mud. In the parched seasons of Africa and South America, these fish burrow into the earth, encasing themselves in mucus cocoons and slowing their metabolism until the rains return. This remarkable duality is more than a survival trick, it is a glimpse into evolution's history, a window to the moment when ancient fish began their march toward land. From these transitional beings came amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and eventually us. Every time a lungfish breathes air, it performs a ritual first enacted hundreds of millions of years ago, the bridge between water and land breathing through it still. Yet not all evolutionary journeys move toward the land. Whales, the giants of the oceans, trace their ancestry back to terrestrial creatures. Around 50 million years ago, a wolf-like animal known as Pakicetus roamed the edges of prehistoric seas. Over countless generations, its descendants ventured further into the water. Limbs flattened into fins, nostrils migrated to the tops of heads, and tails grew into powerful flukes. Fossils like Ambulocetus, literally, the walking whale, mark the stages of this transformation. Eventually, these creatures abandoned land entirely, giving rise to the modern whales that now roam the deep. To see a blue whale breach from the ocean's surface is to witness that history in motion, a creature that once walked, now soaring through water instead of air. Their haunting songs echo through oceans as if carrying messages from their ancient past, reminders that evolution is not a straight path but a cycle of return and reinvention. In other corners of Earth's history, transformations were equally profound. Take the horse, a symbol of power and speed today, but once a creature no larger than a fox. Around 55 million years ago, the tiny Eohippus, or dawn horse, roamed the forested landscapes of the early Eocene epoch. It had multiple toes and browsed on soft leaves. As the climate changed and forests gave way to open plains, the ancestors of horses adapted, growing larger, faster, and leaner. Their toes fused into hooves built for running across grasslands, and their teeth hardened to grind tough, fibrous grasses. The gallop of a modern horse carries within it the footsteps of evolution's grand design, each stride a testament to the shifting earth and the relentless pressure of survival. From small woodland dweller to thundering plains runner, the horse's evolution is a living chronicle of adaptation to change. Among all of Earth's creatures, none surpass the blue whale in scale. It is the largest animal ever known, outmatching even the mightiest of dinosaurs. Growing up to 30 meters long and weighing around 200 tons, it feeds on krill, minuscule shrimp-like creatures, consuming millions of them in a single mouthful. Its heart weighs as much as a small car, and its low-frequency songs can travel across entire oceans. Yet for all its size and power, the blue whale moves with a grace that seems almost otherworldly. Watching one glide through the deep is like witnessing the ocean itself in motion, a living monument to evolution's capacity for both enormity and elegance. Its existence reminds us that life's possibilities are vast beyond comprehension, capable of creating beings of breathtaking magnitude and gentleness all at once. Not all creatures have evolved through dramatic transformations. Some have endured almost unchanged, perfected early and left untouched by time. Insects, Earth's most prolific survivors, are a living record of life's persistence. Species such as silverfish, dragonflies, and cockroaches have remained strikingly similar for hundreds of millions of years. Dragonflies once ruled prehistoric skies with wingspans over 2 feet across, gliding through humid forests before dinosaurs ever walked the earth. While they are smaller today, their form, agile, aerodynamic, and deadly, remains nearly identical to that of their ancient ancestors. Cockroaches, often scorned, are masterpieces of durability, surviving multiple mass extinctions with barely a change in body structure. Their design has passed the most brutal test imaginable, time itself. These ancient insects remind us that evolution does not always favor change. Sometimes, perfection comes early, and endurance becomes the ultimate form of success. Life's story, however, is not one of uninterrupted growth. It has been punctuated by collapse, rewritten again and again through catastrophe. Earth has endured at least 5 great mass extinctions, moments when the majority of species vanished, reshaping the trajectory of existence. The most devastating, the Permian extinction, wiped out more than 90% of all life, leaving the planet eerily silent. Later, the impact that ended the age of dinosaurs cleared the way for mammals to rise and for humans, eventually, to appear. Each extinction emptied the stage of evolution only for life to reinvent itself anew. From the ashes of loss emerged new forms, strange, beautiful, and unforeseen. This rhythm of destruction and renewal defines Earth's history. It reveals life's most profound truth. It is not fragile like a candle flame, but resilient like wildfire, dimmed by disaster yet always rekindling, burning forward into new eras of existence. Even in the coldest reaches of the planet, where nothing should grow, remnants of the past whisper through ice and soil. Antarctica, now a frozen desert of wind and snow, was once a land of forests filled with ferns, conifers, and beech trees. Beneath its glaciers, scientists have unearthed ancient seeds and spores, their DNA still preserved, bearing witness to a time when the southern continent thrived with green life. These remnants tell us that the world is not static, that continents drift, climates shift, and ecosystems rise and fall in endless cycles. The frozen DNA of these ancient plants is not merely a relic but a memory of warmth preserved in cold, a silent testimony to Earth's capacity for transformation. From the glowing worms of the ocean's twilight to the whales that sing across the sea, from the dinosaurs that took flight as birds to the insects that refused to change at all, every living thing on Earth tells part of the same grand narrative, one of resilience, adaptation, and endless reinvention. Life, in all its forms, has endured meteors, volcanoes, ice ages, and the shifting of worlds. It has grown in the dark, breathed in acid, frozen in ice, and burned in fire. It has turned catastrophe into creation and extinction into opportunity. To study the history of life is to glimpse the unstoppable creativity of existence itself, a force that began billions of years ago and still flows through every heartbeat, every leaf, every breath. Whether on our planet or in the silent oceans of other worlds, life is not a fragile spark struggling against the void. It is the fire that refuses to go out. These remnants reveal what once thrived in a land now buried beneath ice, a world that was once teeming with life and warmth before being transformed into a frozen wilderness. These ancient traces tell the story of how Earth's climates shifted so dramatically that lush forests, once filled with green canopies and teeming life, gave way to the desolate glaciers we see today. To hold such a seed in one's hand is to grasp a tangible fragment of a vanished world, a genetic memory preserved through time, whispering of landscapes long gone and ecosystems lost to the relentless march of ice. Though these seeds no longer sprout, their DNA remains an unbroken record of Earth's living history, encoded within the fragile molecules that survived eons of freezing darkness. They remind us that even in the most barren and silent places on Earth, the essence of life endures, ghostly echoes of warmth and vitality preserved within the cold, carrying whispers from an age when the southernmost continent bloomed with green. But the traces of ancient life are not limited to ice or soil, they live within us too. Hidden deep within the vast expanse of our own DNA lie relics of an ancient biological struggle, fragments of viral invaders that once infiltrated our ancestors millions of years ago. These sequences, known as endogenous retroviruses, make up nearly 8% of the human genome, silent witnesses to forgotten infections that once raged through our lineage. Though most are dormant and harmless now, evolution has turned some of these viral remnants into vital components of human life. One such gene, for example, became essential for forming the placenta, allowing mammals, including humans, to give birth to live young. In a poetic twist, the very viruses that once waged war upon our ancestors became part of what made life as we know it possible. Our cells carry these ancient scars and triumphs alike, reminders that our genetic code is not a clean slate but a patchwork quilt of survival stories. We are, in a profound sense, the sum of all the struggles and adaptations that came before us, built from the DNA of both friends and foes. Life, it seems, has a way of weaving even its adversities into opportunity, transforming invasion into innovation, and turning the chaos of evolution into art. When you take a breath right now, you are not merely inhaling oxygen. You are sharing in the endless cycle of existence that connects you to everything that has ever lived. Each breath you take draws in atoms that have danced through countless forms, through forests, seas, and bodies long turned to dust. The carbon dioxide you exhale may once have flowed through the veins of a leaf in the Amazon, or formed part of a trilobite's shell in the ancient Cambrian seas. The oxygen you inhale might have swirled inside the lungs of an extinct mammoth, drifted through the bloodstream of a blue whale, or lingered in the breath of a child centuries ago. Every atom is a traveler, endlessly recycled through the great tapestry of life, binding all beings across time and space into one interconnected web. When you breathe, you take part in a ritual older than mountains, an invisible communion with all of creation. Breathing becomes an act of unity, a reminder that life is not isolated or divided but shared, an unbroken chain stretching back billions of years, connecting you to the first spark of life that flickered in the oceans of early Earth. At the heart of this unity lies one of nature's most beautiful secrets. Every living thing, from the simplest microbe to the tallest tree, from the tiniest insect to the vast blue whale, is written in the same language, the genetic code of DNA. This universal script, composed of just 4 letters, tells the story of every organism that has ever existed. The fact that bacteria, mushrooms, fish, and humans share the same molecular alphabet is nothing short of astonishing. It reveals that all life, no matter how diverse or complex, descends from a single ancient ancestor, a microscopic pioneer that arose billions of years ago and gave rise to the boundless forms we see today. Every creature, no matter how alien it may seem, carries this signature of shared origin, proof that we are all branches of the same evolutionary tree. This realization dissolves the illusion of separation between species, reminding us that the hummingbird fluttering outside your window, the oak tree standing in your yard, and the person reading these words are kin, distant cousins bound by the same ancestral script written in the molecules of life. And deeper still, beneath the molecular and biological, lies a truth even more profound: you are made of stardust. Long before our planet existed, before oceans shimmered or winds stirred, there were stars, titanic furnaces burning hydrogen into heavier elements. In their fiery hearts, atoms of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, calcium, and iron, the very ingredients that make up your body, were forged in nuclear fire. When those ancient stars exhausted their fuel, they died in magnificent explosions known as supernovae, scattering their elements across the vast reaches of space. Over millions of years, this cosmic debris drifted and coalesced, forming new stars, planets, and eventually, life itself. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, and the carbon that shapes every cell of your body were all born in the heart of a long-dead star. To realize this is to glimpse your true cosmic heritage. You are not apart from the universe. You are the universe made conscious. The cosmos streamed itself into atoms, and those atoms became you. When you look up at the night sky, you are not gazing at something foreign and distant. You are looking at your own origin, your ancient kin, shining back at you across the gulf of time. And so, our journey through the wonders of life and the universe comes full circle. We began among the frozen seas of Antarctica, holding the memory of green worlds now gone, and we end among the stars, where the story of life first began. Between these two extremes, the icy silence of Earth's poles and the blazing heart of distant suns, lies everything we are. We have drifted through forests and oceans, deserts and mountains, following life's story as it adapted, endured, and blossomed into endless diversity. We have seen how viruses became part of us, how breath ties us to every living being, and how a simple genetic alphabet unites the whole of life into one continuous thread. Each discovery deepens the same truth. Life is not a random accident but a grand, ongoing symphony of resilience and transformation. If your eyes feel heavy now, let them close and imagine your breath as waves upon a shore, a rhythm shared with all that lives and ever has lived. The beating of your heart echoes the pulsing of ancient seas. Your lungs rise and fall like tides drawn by the moon. Your atoms shimmer with the memory of exploding stars. You are part of this planet, part of its deep rhythm, part of its great unfolding mystery. So as you drift towards sleep, remember that you carry the story of the universe within you, the genes of ancient viruses, the breath of forgotten forests, the atoms of long-dead stars. You are both ancient and new, fragile and eternal, a bridge between what has been and what will be. Let that thought cradle you gently, like the sea holds its creatures or the earth holds its life. Dream softly, rest deeply, and know that you are woven into the same cosmic fabric that connects every living thing. You are the echo of starlight and the whisper of the ocean, the song of evolution still unfolding. And as the night grows quiet around you, let your final waking thought be this: the universe is not out there, it is within you, and you are its way of remembering itself. Good night, and may your dreams carry you through the infinite story that is life itself.